Good morning. So if you guys watched my video that's titled "The System Keeps Tripping on HP," I just wanted to give you guys a breakdown of exactly what I was experiencing on site. So I was going to do a part 2. I spoke to the client this morning and they informed me that they have not had any problems with that unit since I left. The reason why I said in the video that it was tripping on HP intermittently was mainly because we checked the system's running pressure. We actually hooked up our gauges, made sure, and actually simulated a HP alarm with the switch. So the HP switch itself was not triggered. So the way that system works is, let me just try and give you guys a breakdown of exactly how that unit works. So they've got 17 crack units, and those units are it's DX systems, but they water cooled, so they've got a closed system. So closed system is basically what we call a dry cooler, so you don't have that much water evaporation, but it basically utilizes ambient air to cool down the water temperature. And inside of the actual unit there is a plated heat exchanger where the heat gets transferred from the discharge line to the water reticulation system and gets subcooled. So yeah, let me just give you a breakdown on that. So the way the system works is that unit's got 3 different modes. So you've got a free cooling mode, so there's actually an additional evaporator on the indoor, which is completely dedicated to water circulation. So on low ambience, when the water temperature, I believe the set point is 15 degrees, 10 to 15 degrees of water temperature. So once, mainly we'll get that set point at night and early morning when ambient temperatures are fairly low. So the system will then utilize what's called free cooling. So it will switch off the DX systems and it will open the valves automatically, routing the cold water then through the free cooling coil and all the way back, returning to the condensers. Now if it's not able to cope with the load, because those units are constantly under not excessive, but they're constantly under load, about 28 to 30 degrees on coil temperature. So yeah, so the way that unit works is if it's not able to cope, it will then go into what's called mix mode. So mix mode is utilizing one compressor along with free cooling still circulating through the additional evaporator coil. If it's still not able to manage to bring the temperature down, it will then go into full DX mode. So at that stage, the actuators will then make sure that there's sufficient water flow going through the plated heat exchanger. Now, they logged a call saying that there's an HP alarm. We came to do the investigation, and per their or not really recommendation, but per their request, we replaced the HP switch just because they didn't want problems at night. This is a data center. That's actually why I've got limited video footage, because we're really not allowed to do any camera footage inside. You're not allowed to take your camera in there at all. So it's a data center. It's a very sensitive environment. So yeah, let me not go off on a tangent. We investigated the HP alarm, and we could find no faults, specifically on the refrigeration circuit. The system was running fine. I checked the pressure sensor as well, made sure that it actually resembles the pressure that is on my manifold gauge, so I know that the pressure sensor is working fine and it's not giving false readings. The pressure switch we also tested, like I said, made sure that it's actually cutting out and not cutting out prematurely, so that was working 100% as well. We did not have a water reticulation issue, since I said there is a delay, so the valve is allowed a certain amount of time to open up, and the compressor will then be delayed before it switches on, just to ensure that there is sufficient water flow so that we don't trigger a HP alarm. I do mention that in the video as well. So I actually recommend, I believe it's the first video that I uploaded, I would recommend that you guys have a look at that video, because I actually show the dry coolers on the roof, so you can actually have a a look and get an idea. I believe, no, it was the second video I uploaded. Just get an idea of how those systems look and how they work. So the reason I said that it was an intermittent fault was we had a look at the circuit diagram and we traced it all the way, went through, because everything runs in series. So the HP switch runs in series, so it comes from the board, goes to the terminals, from there it goes through the HP switch, comes back, then goes back to the board. From the board it outputs your 24 volts, which then goes to the A1 of the contactor. Now, even while the system was giving us a HP, we had continuity across our HP switch, so the switch was not open circuit, breaking the circuit. So that's why I said that it was intermittent. But like I said, we spoke to tech support. They recommended that we swap around the contactors, but we still had the same issue. But since I'd left, the client had said that they had not had the same problem again. That's why I was not able to upload a part 2 of that video, since everything's working fine. It's something that I would like to investigate. I was actually going to take my scope meter and see if there's any defects on our output on that PC board. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you watched the first video, I highly recommend you go and have a look at it. Yeah, so for those guys that are new into the industry, I hope it's something that's beneficial or something that you can learn from. Thanks for watching, guys.